We have been doing the video series on the 1980s Washington Redskins, and in these video series, we have been spotlighting certain individual players. And in this one, we had mentioned, in the previous one, we had mentioned this gentleman's name, Dave Butz, and I just had to do a spotlight video for Dave. So let's get into this one. And welcome to another podcast here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. My name is Greg. I am your host, and thank you for joining us. This channel is dedicated to news and commentary for the Washington Commanders. If you're down with that, please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel. And when you do, also make sure you hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. And with that said, let's get into this one. But before we do, let's just talk about this for just a second. I know a lot of you guys, like me, you tend to get yourselves into a little bit of financial hole, and sometimes you have to make some sacrifices. Well, my partner here at Mint Mobile, they know that you have to make some sacrifices, and they want to help you so you don't have to always make such a drastic sacrifice, and they're here to talk about it.
Look, if your family is anything like mine, you have probably at one point or another have had to make some major sacrifices. Maybe you've had an unexpected medical bill pop up, or your car breaks down. Maybe you're just trying to have some money saved up for your child's education. Well, that is why I'm so intrigued by Mint Mobile, who this video is in partnership with. They offer premium wireless starting at $15 a month. I could get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. I can even bring my phone along with my current phone number, contacts. I'm telling you, I am sacrificing absolutely nothing. Everything that you can do with your big-time cell phone service, you can do with Mint Mobile. So how hard is it to switch your service? I switched to Mint Mobile in less than 15 minutes. How did I do it? Well, it was easy. I just used my phone's eSIM card. 15 minutes later, let me tell you, you are up and running. You're making phone calls, you're using data. But Greg, my phone is a little bit older. I don't have one of them eSIM doohickeys. A doohickey. Oh, okay. Well, you don't need an eSIM doohickey. If you don't have an eSIM doohickey, Mint Mobile will send you a physical SIM card for free. That's right, for free. So if you want to save a little money on your wireless without making any sacrifices, why don't you go to my link in the description below. It is trymintmobile.com/maniacs to get started on getting premium wireless service for as low as $15 a month. And this is when you sign up for a 3-month plan. And get this, new customers, if you sign up for a Mint Mobile plan before May 31st, you will get a 6-month subscription to Paramount Essential on Mint Mobile. Visit Mint Mobile today. Link will be in the description below. Now back to the podcast.
So Dave Butz was one of those guys on that defensive front that really made that defensive front so solid for the Washington Redskins. You know, we covered Dexter Manley, who I said in one of the episodes earlier, and you can catch that on this channel. You know, you had Dexter Manley, you had Charles Mann, and of course, you know, we're going to cover Dave Butz and, you know, Daryl Grant. I mean, you had these guys that were just solid guys. I mean, you know, for the young guys, you know, we could best describe it, you know, compare it to the 2020 season when we had the 2020 version of Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen on that defensive front. You know, I mean, really a solid defensive front. And, you know, I said before that if we had that defensive front and that 2020 version of Chase Young, then I mean, our defense would have been probably solid for years to come. And that's basically what we had with the 1980s defense for the Washington Redskins, because we had guys like that and guys like Dexter Manley. Dexter Manley, he was this huge guy. He was 6'7", nearly 300 pounds. I mean, guy was huge. I mean, talk about, like, he was up there like with guys like Kane and the Undertaker in the WWE, right? I mean, guy was huge. He was drafted in the first round. He was a top 5 pick, drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals, and he only spent a couple of seasons with St. Louis. He was selected in the first round. He played 2 seasons. In 1975, he was granted free agency due to a mistake in his contract that he assigned as a rookie in 73. Excuse me. A mistake in the contract. Now, I'm sure that whoever was in the front office for the St. Louis Cardinals must have been fired after that. Because, I mean, how do you make a mistake in a contract for a big man like that? So George Allen quickly signed him, of course. But the NFL rules stated that the Redskins had to compensate the Cardinals with 2 first-round draft picks and a second-round pick. So the Redskins had to give up a hefty ransom to get Dave Butz. Was it worth it? Well, yeah, it was worth it, because he wound up playing 14 years for the Washington Redskins. He played with them for a long time, and he played at a very high level for the Redskins for that long time. He had 3 Super Bowl appearances with the Redskins. Three Super Bowl appearances. It was the Miami Dolphins, against the Miami Dolphins, Los Angeles Raiders, and the Denver Broncos. I love it, where he shouted famously at the crowd, "We came, we saw, we kicked their butts," from Dave Butz. As of 2022, Butz ranks 5th in franchise history in sacks. 59.0, was 3rd in 2008. He was a one-time Pro Bowler in 1983 in a season in which he managed 11 sacks, a career best. He was named to the NFL All-Pro team in 1983 and 84. He only missed 4 games in his entire 16-year career. Butz was among the largest players in the NFL when he played, standing at 6'8" and routinely weighing around 300 pounds. In October 87, Butz famously checked himself out of the hospital to play in the Redskins game against the New York Jets. Despite having dropped from 313 to 287 pounds due to an illness and feeling dizzy in the second half, Butz made a game-saving sack of Ken O'Brien to stop a Jets drive late in the game and was awarded the game ball. After the game, he checked himself back into the hospital, where he remained until the following Wednesday. That's Dave Butz for you, man. Who does that? Dave Butz does. In 1988, Butz played in his 197th game for the Washington franchise, passing Lynn Haas to set a franchise record for games played. He would later retire at 203 games played for Washington. Butz announced his retirement as an active player at the age of 38 on May 18, 1989. He appeared in 216 NFL games, 191 as a starter from 1973 to 1988. He tallied 64 sacks in his career. When he retired, he was the oldest starting player in the NFL. Butz was selected to the NFL 1980's All-Decade Team. He was named one of the 70's greatest Redskins at the Redskins' 70th anniversary in 2002. His name is also featured along with that of the other notable players in the team's history of the Ring of Honor, Ring of Fame at, well, what used to be called FedEx Field. It's now Commanders Field. Um, yeah, Dave Butz. I remember. I would see. Yes, I remember some of the hits that Butz would have on players. Like he would swallow them whole. Um, you know, you would see some running backs that every now and then it's like teams would start getting a good running game going against the Redskins, and it's like Butts would be like, all right, I'm tired of this. And then after a couple of good runs, Butts would come up there and stop him in the backfield and just swallow them whole. It's like, where did where did the guy go? It's like only thing you see is Dave Butts. The guy's under there somewhere. I mean, and his helmet was all like just scratched up, and just like it looked like it had been through a war. And you know, a lot of times, like you would see players that would, uh, that they would of course have new helmets the next game, or the next season at least. Not Dave Butts. No, Dave Butts did not want a new helmet. I remember Dave Butts would have that same helmet year in and year out. He wanted to make sure that it's kind of like in college where when you would get tackles and stuff, you get like a sticker. Was it Ohio State, I think, does that, where they put stickers for each sacks or whatever that you get. Well, for Dave Butts, the um, the scratches and stuff like that on his helmet was just, it was like a sticker. Just it was like a badge that he would get, for each hit and sacks and tackles that he would get. I mean, I would love. I mean, his his helmet alone should be in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, that helmet. Where is that helmet? I want to know where that helmet is. I'd love to have that helmet. That thing was just, it was a thing of beauty. It really was. Right up there with Joe Theismann's single bar helmet. I mean, that thing was scratched up, and you knew that that's a sign of a player right there. You know, and just the thing about Dave Butts checking himself out of the hospital to go play a game, knowing he had an illness where he had lost like so much weight, comes in, plays a game, makes the game winning tackle, and then goes and back into the hospital to stay there for a few more days. I mean, who does that? Dave Butts does. Dave Butts does. Um, just fantastic, fantastic player. No nonsense guy. I mean, um, you can go back and watch again some of the. I forget which America's Game special it was for the Super Bowl, but I think it was who was it? It was either Jeff Bostic, maybe. It was either Jeff Bostic or it was Joe Theismann who would ride with Dave um, to the game on Sundays, and you know if if Dave Butts would hit what they call roadkill, he'd be like, yeah, it's going to be a good game. um, you know, poor animal, whatever that poor animal might have been, but Dave Butts, I mean, huge player, uh, played the game huge, right? I mean, you did not push him around. I mean, he pushed the team, and he was an anchor on that defensive front. And I think he's one of the biggest reasons, literally, but figuratively, he's one of the biggest reasons why those bookends were able to get to the quarterback so much. because I mean he just engulfed that that middle so much that it allowed guys like Charles Mann, Dexter Manley, to get around the edge there to get to the quarterback. I mean, he just soaked up a double team, probably even soaked up a triple team. The guy was huge, and it was just amazing that just the Redskins were able to get him off of some technicality from a contract. But Butz moved from Illinois early in his NFL career and continued to reside in the area for the remainder of his life with his wife, Candace. The couple had 3 children. He also had a home in Fairfax, Virginia. But on November the 4th, 2022, at the age of 72, sadly, Dave Butz passed away. And I remember doing a short video on that a couple of years ago. Sad to hear of the passing of Dave Butz. He was 72 years old, I believe. So it was kind of weird to hear about Dave Butz passing. But again, played larger than life. The man was larger than life. Made that defense great. Again, I mean, huge guy. And just one thing I do remember, and I would laugh every time that you'd have John Madden and Pat Summerall doing the play-by-play for the Redskins. You'd hear John Madden talking about Dave Butz, and he'd be like, "Oh, you have old Big Butz in there, and I would just laugh, of course. I mean, it was so funny because I don't think that John Madden was even thinking about the way it sounded, but it was just have a lot of great memories about Dave Butz, and just again, he was one of those guys, kind of like John Riggins, that didn't get pushed around. You don't push a movable force like that around whatsoever. He pushed you, and then, like I said, when he made a hit, he made a hit, and you heard it. And players did not like running toward Dave Butz. You try to run around him, try to run away from him if you could, but you don't run into him because you're not going to run over top of Dave Butz. There's just no way. But anyway, folks, Dave Butz, God rest his soul. Great player for the Redskins. Miss him a whole lot, but fantastic player. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, give it a share. And with that said, I will see you in the next episode.